For the second year running, the Japanese Grand Prix here at Suzuka could see the resolution of the Drivers' World Championship. A fitting venue, for Suzuka is owned by Honda, and a Honda-powered driver will be champion. Last year, it was here that an unusually emotional Ayrton Senna clinched the championship with a brilliant drive. And on the victory podium, we understandably saw an elated Senna, the like of which we'd never seen before. 1989 too has seen victory after victory for Senna, but as last year, his chief rival, a bitter rival, has been double world champion Alain Prost. In their battle for the top honour, Senna has had far more than his share of bad luck. At the British Grand Prix, a gearbox fault sent him into the gravel trap and out of the race which he'd been leading. And in Italy, it was a major engine failure.
And look at Senna. This is, well, the crowd is going to go mad when they see this, and Senna goes off and out of the Italian Grand Prix, and you can see how overjoyed the Italians are. Senna out, and that means to say that Prost goes into the lead. 9 points lost for Senna, 9 points gained for Prost.
But the Senna incident which has dominated 1989 was his controversial coming together with the black-flagged Nigel Mansell. And Senna had all too much time despondently to contemplate the fact that his World Championship chances were slipping away, unless he could win here in Japan, and nothing less than victory will do. As the 26-car grid circulates Suzuka on the pre-start formation lap, Senna is exactly where he needs to be, in pole position for the 41st time in his career. But second is his arch-rival Alain Prost, who said he's going to drive an attacking race. Row 2, third and fourth fastest, Berger and Mansell's Ferraris. Martin Brundle is 13th. Derek Warwick and Jonathan Palmer are right at the rear of the grid, 25th and 26th.
Beautiful start by Alain Prost, who goes into the lead with Berger coming up behind Senna. So it is Prost leading, Senna second, Berger in third position, Alessandro Nannini up into fourth place.
And that looked a bit like a jump start by Prost to me. It was a real flyer at least, but the green light was quite quick. Certainly he anticipated the green, whether he actually beat it or not. But Prost straight into his stride, and Prost was quickest in the warm-up this morning and clearly means business today.
And Prost has said here in Suzuka that he is going to drive an attacking race. He has been saying that he's been driving his McLaren like a taxi in the past 3 races, but here he means to win. And if he does, it'll put pay to Senna's chances. It's Prost leading, Senna second, then Berger in third position, Nannini fourth. Now let's see if it was a jump start. Look for the lights. Well, that's Olivier Griard in the background, getting away very quickly, quicker than Prost. But Prost leads, Senna second, Berger third, into the first corner. A marvellous start by Alessandro Nannini. And there is race leader Alain Prost in the McLaren, followed by his teammate Senna.
Yes, unfortunately from that angle, that camera angle of the replay, we weren't able to see the lights in the corner of the shot. We didn't have the caption, so it was hard to tell. But Prost coming round now, complete lap 1. Senna, Prost just showing the advantage of his good start, not making any real impression at the moment about getting away from Senna, but then very early days.
Over the line, Prost, Senna, Berger is the race order, and already you can see how sensationally quick the McLaren Hondas are in comparison with Gerhard Berger's Ferrari in third position, and Prost is really going for it. The Frenchman sees the opportunity to give himself a... Now, here is a replay of the start, and you can see that is Brundle going through there. Paolo Barilla, the Italian, who is substituting for Pierluigi Martini in the Minardi. But Prost leads, lap 2, Senna second, Berger in third position, McLaren, Honda. Then, as you can see, it's Nannini, Patrese, Mansell. So Mansell in the second Ferrari has been passed by 2 people on the first lap.
Well, certainly Prost at the moment looks true to his word in that he was now having consolidated his championship point situation over the last few, and Bernd Schneider is out of the race. We see waved yellow flags, but we can't see why.
Barilla is out already. Paolo Barilla's first Grand Prix was a very short one. Bernd Schneider out in the Zack Speed Yamaha. And there you see race leader Alain Prost.
Yes, as I was saying, he really looks as if he means business. He said that he was consolidating his point situation over the last few races, driving to finish. Here he was going to go for it, which obviously he has to, because second place is no good to him in terms of winning the championship if it's behind Ayrton Senna. And the whole body language of his car in this first couple of laps exudes some of the old Alain Prost, the aggressive throw the car about chap. So just watch Prost throwing the car about. This is quite different to the man we've seen in the last 3 or 4 Grand Prix.
And already Prost is leading by over 2.5 seconds. This is on lap 3 in this 53-lap race. And we haven't yet mentioned tyres, which could be and probably will be critical. They were having a lot of wear with the qualifiers, which isn't surprising because qualifiers are only meant to last 1 lap. But the race tyres, of course, have got to go a lot longer, and we're expecting them to come in any time from lap 18 onwards, assuming that the times are fast enough to generate heavy wear. And at the moment it looks as though those times are fast enough. Prost, Senna, Berger.
And Prost looks to be pulling away a little bit now. He took a lap and a half to play himself in. Senna was holding him, and now he's pulling away. And in fact, Berger is holding Senna behind him quite well. Yes, that gap appears to be increasing, and there looks to be a real urgency in Prost's driving.
3.65 seconds. Prost has increased his lead on the third lap by a full second over Ayrton Senna in the background. And as James says, Berger in the Ferrari with his semi-automatic 7-speed gearbox is certainly gaining. You can see in the chicane there as they come through to complete their third lap and start their fourth. Now, there's Prost across the line. Maybe we'll get a... And there is Senna in second position, and you can see that Nannini behind Gerhard Berger in fourth position with the new Ford development engine is still not dropping back. So Honda's home ground this is. Suzuka is owned by Honda, and a victory here matters more to the Japanese firm than all the rest put together. Prost leads, and now Nigel Mansell, I can tell you, has gone up into 5th place. He has passed Riccardo Patrese's FW13 Williams, the new one. It's a difficult car to drive. We're looking at Senna with Berger inching up on the McLaren Honda of the Brazilian Ayrton Senna. And Prost now, and that's Osamu Goto, the head of the Honda Racing Division. So both Minardis are out now because Paolo Barilla, who went out on the second lap in his first Grand Prix, has been joined by his countryman, and this is Prost. Alain Prost leading the Japanese Grand Prix on lap 4 out of 53. Race order, Alain Prost leads. In second position, it's Ayrton Senna. Third is Gerhard Berger. Fourth is Nannini. Fifth is Mansell. Sixth is Patrese. In 7th place, it is Boutsen. And in 8th position, it is Modena.
Here you get the display of the performance of the car, the digital readout, and just watch how the deceleration and Prost fighting that steering wheel. You see all the kickback from the bumps in the road, how the steering wheel is always trying to jump out of your hand, and just see the rate at which the car still continues to accelerate at nearly 200 miles an hour, and then rapid deceleration, And the gap now still around 3.5 seconds, so the little bit that Prost pulled away just in the last couple of laps, Senna is now holding on to. So the two McLaren Hondas are beginning to settle down, and it looks at the moment as if the pattern is that Prost is leading, Senna is holding him in second place, just playing at the moment a watching brief, but of course that he won't be able to do for the whole race. He has to win this.
You look at Gerhard Berger now, the winner earlier this year in Portugal, having had a dreadful start to his season with that appalling crash at Imola, and it looks to me as though Prost has got the legs of Senna, Senna has got the legs of Berger, and the same applies to the gap between Gerhard Berger there, with those distinctive yellow flashes on the front and rear wings of the 650 horsepower V12 Ferrari, Alessandro Nannini, the leading V8 driver, and Pirro is moving up through the field, Emanuele Pirro, and we're riding now with Ayrton Senna. Now, look at the way the Brazilian drives. Now, those are kilometres, of course. 320 kilometres an hour is 200 miles an hour. But this enormous Japanese crowd is absolutely spellbound, because the way this race is developing is frankly not what most people expected, with Senna in that commanding 41st pole position. Now you're looking at Pirro being chased by Nelson Piquet. So it's Nakajima and Emanuele Pirro, who is in, just checking on the lap chart, he's in 12th position, so Nakajima is 13th. Off onto the grass goes Larini. That is Nicola Larini in the Osella, the young Italian who's just signed a 3-year contract with Ferrari. But when he gets to drive it is another matter. But meantime, the Japanese Grand Prix has settled down on lap 7 out of 53. Long way to go. You can see that there is some dampness in the atmosphere from the vortices that are swirling off the rear wing of Senna's McLaren Honda, about which Gerhard Berger seemingly can do nothing. Let us look forward a little, because from lap 18 onwards we're going to be getting tyre stops, and it could well be that this race will be decided on a tyre stop. There are the McLaren mechanics, as I say that. They've got plenty of time before their first man comes in. Now there you can see Brundle and Nakajima, and a spin there, and that is Alesi spinning.
Well, that looked like Pirro having a little, who in fact locked up the brakes and gave Alesi a bit of a nudge in the rear wheel. So no harm done, just a little disagreement on who owned which bit of road then, and it looked like Pirro was the guilty party there, being a little bit over-enthusiastic.
Now there is Senna, look for Berger in the background, there you saw him. This is lap 11, it's a 53 lap race, so we're roughly 20% of the way through.
Very much so, and I have to say the stage, as we watch from Ayrton Senna's view, Senna's eye view, stage very much set for dramatic finale to the World Championship. Senna, who has always a favourite to win the races, being shown the way at the moment by Alain Prost, and the personal rivalry between the two McLaren drivers, of course, has been very well documented this year. Now you see the speed building up Senna's car and then down on the brakes, and that's how quickly these modern Formula One cars decelerate. They're up 200 kilometres now, 250. 280. And Senna really has the challenge thrown down by Alain Prost. Well, Prost is in effect saying, you claim to be the fastest driver of them all, watch me today. He said that before the race, and he's saying it on the track now.
Yes, Prost said before this race began, I am going to drive an attacking race, and he's not only attacking, but he is literally out of sight. Ayrton Senna cannot see the McLaren Honda of the Frenchman now. We're looking down the track now as he comes up to turn 1. He approaches at about 170 miles an hour. Now round into turn 2. Past the grandstand, I apologise, and as you can see, Prost is increasing his speed all the time. 1 minute 45.7, 123.9 miles an hour. Alain Prost leading and consistently fastest lap after lap. What we don't know about is tyre wear. I find it hard to believe that Ayrton Senna is driving a tactical race at this stage, because letting Prost pull away as far as he has done is basically unacceptable.
Absolutely right, Murray. There's no way that Senna's playing any form of a waiting game. This is a sprinting business. The race is maybe 200 miles or just on that distance, but believe me, they're sprints, and you can't afford to give somebody a start in a sprint. And no way is Senna giving Prost a start. Both men, believe you me, are driving absolutely on their personal limits. They are driving as fast as they possibly can.
Now there is Berger. Let's look back and see how far Nannini and Mansell are behind him.
They're catching him. I get the feeling maybe that Berger has had some gearbox trouble, because he dropped back, although the car sounds healthy and looks healthy. Makes me think maybe he's lost a gear or two out of the 7 forward speeds that he's got. We know also that, contrary to most racing cars, that unfortunately for Ferrari their reverse gear works, because what happened to Mansell and Estoril couldn't have happened to most people, because although the rules say racing cars have to have reverse gears, they usually do when they're wheeled out of the factory brand new, but after that nobody ever bothers to check them, and when they are needed they've never been known to work before. So poor old Mansell was the only person ever to find a reverse gear that actually worked in a Formula 1 car.
Well, there is Berger. I was hoping that we would stay with the shot long enough for you to see how far Nannini was. Senna now winding things up, 1 minute 44.96. We're getting very close to the 125 mile an hour lap. The lap record here, incidentally, is Alain Prost, 1 minute 43.8. And Mansell is now less than a second behind Nannini. I wish they'd let us see it.
Well, it really is tremendous speed up front as well. The 2 McLaren drivers trading fastest laps. The gap still hovering around the 5 seconds and just under mark. So Ayrton Senna is not taking this treatment from Alain Prost lying down. He's fighting back with everything he's got, and at the moment he is pretty much holding Prost.
Well, you listen to 2 very frustrated commentators, because we're seeing everything except what we should be. They must have heard me, because there is Nannini and Mansell. Nannini in 4th position, Mansell in 5th place. This is the battle in the race, with Alain Prost leading, Ayrton Senna in 2nd place. In 3rd position, Gerhard Berger. This is the battle for 4th position. Nigel Mansell, who started 4th on the grid, dropped back in the opening laps to 6th position. He's now clawed his way up, and you can see there is Alessandro Nannini, the leading V8 driver with the new Ford engine, the development engine. Nigel Mansell back into racing after being excluded from the Spanish Grand Prix, is going for and will soon, I think, take 4th position from the Benetton Ford of Alessandro Nannini. They're coming through now to complete their 16th lap. They do so. 16 laps completed out of 53. It'll soon be tyre stop time, and it'll soon be time for Mansell to take Nannini.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see these 2 cars when they get close together on the straight here just to see, because this is a new experimental engine in the Benetton, a new Ford engine, and the team seems to be pretty pleased with it and the power it's producing. Ferrari, if they've their weakness this year, apart from their reliability problems with the gearbox, their weakness has been the power of their engine. The chassis has always been good, but of course when we say weakness and lack of power, we've been talking in relative terms to the Honda engines. And here we see a replay. That's the Lola Lamborghini of Alio, looking to be having his usual accident. It's not it's fairly standard for Alio to have an off at least. Well, that wasn't an accident, just a minor excursion, very minor by his standards. So Prost coming round to complete another lap. Pair of McLarens. You saw Senna just coming into shot there. Senna looks closer to me now.
Indeed he is. The gap is down to 3.5 seconds. 3.5 seconds now, and it was 4.5, so there's a second gap reduced.
A worrying time for Prost, that Senna has shown that he's able to hold him, and now he's started to close, and of course they haven't reached the back markers in the traffic yet, and that is an area in which Prost, I think, still lacks confidence when compared to Ayrton Senna, and must be fearful of his ability to keep the gap up when they get into the traffic, as surely they will fairly soon.
And Nigel Mansell has dropped back. He's now... both the McLaren, I can tell you, both the McLaren and the Ferrari teams are getting ready for tyre stops. We may see the mechanics in the pit lane. We're expecting them to stop any time from lap 18 onwards. This is lap 18. There is the order: Prost, Senna, Berger, Nannini, Mansell, and you can see there's 3 seconds almost between Nannini and Mansell. Riccardo Patrese is in 6th place, Boutsen is in 7th place, Alio, that we just saw go onto the grass, is in 8th place.
Talk of the devil, there we are, because just as Prost was coming over the brow of the hill, we saw the first of the back markers, so Prost now has traffic lapped cars in sight, and if I was Prost, and now is becoming, well, getting towards about 1/3 race distance, and that's about when to make the stop. If I was Prost, I'd get those back markers off my mind by making my tyre stop the next time round. Ferrari undressing their tyres, that means one of the Ferraris is coming in next lap.
And Senna has definitely closed up a bit on Alain Prost. You could see the two McLarens there. You see the Ferrari mechanics. Whether it's Gerhard Berger or Nigel Mansell coming in, I cannot tell you. Mansell is in the pits. As I talk to you, Nigel Mansell pulls into the pits for his tyre stop. Now, I've got the stopwatch running. Anything around 8 seconds is going to be good. The digital clock on the screen is not running, and away he goes in 8.09 seconds. 8.1 seconds on lap 18, and that is not at all a bad stop.
Yes, and absolutely, Ferrari have been very, very slick in the last few races with their pit work. In fact, they've been under 7 seconds. If Prost has not, if Senna hasn't booked the first slot for the stop, because of course a team can't cope if both drivers come in the same lap, particularly if of course they're only some 3 seconds apart, as Prost and Senna are. And now Prost has found the traffic. Now I'm sure Prost, if he's clever, he's not going for the pits this time, so Prost is staying with the traffic, and I don't understand thinking about that unless Senna's booked the first slot in the pits.
Coming up behind Eddie Cheever in the arrows is Alain Prost over the line, and you can see Senna in the background. So Prost has passed Alesi and lapped him. 3.1 seconds is the gap. It's come down from 4.5 seconds earlier on between Prost, the race leader, and Senna. Prost is coming up to lap Olivier Grouillard, the only Ligier runner.
Yes, well, the surprise, of course, is it hasn't come down more. Prost has got through that bunch of traffic quite slickly, because remember, Senna hasn't yet caught them. So, Prost's now got a clear road, so he may well elect to stay out for another lap or two. But really, this is about the most efficient moment, for the most efficient use of two different sets of tyres for Prost to make his stop.
Meantime, race order on lap 20. Alain Prost leading. You're looking at Senna now. You're riding with Senna in second place, ahead of Gerhard Berger third. Nannini is still in fourth position. Patrese is fifth. Boutsen is sixth. Nigel Mansell down to seventh because of his pit stop. We're coming up now behind Eddie Cheever's arrows. You're riding with the world champion, Brazilian Ayrton Senna, who has already won 6 Grand Prix this year and must win this one for the World Championship.
And there you see the enormous power of the Honda engine. And Senna signalling to Cheever to look in his mirror. He's not happy that Cheever didn't let him by when he had a chance before. And Senna still staying out there, but it's cost him pretty much the whole of that lap to get past that gaggle of 3. Prost, Senna now through, and I'm sure Prost has got to go to the pits this lap. The tactical advantage of getting into the pits and getting the fresh tyres on with a clean stop will be very big, and he doesn't want to be chasing around. You see there's traffic ahead of Prost there. He doesn't want to have to fight his way through that twice. But if he goes to the pits now, he'll have to fight his way past them later, or maybe they'll be in the pits. But it seems silly to fight twice.
Alessandro Nannini completes his tyre stop in 10 seconds. But, amazingly, for once Alain Prost seems to have benefited from the first batch of traffic. Ayrton Senna is past it now. There he is in the background. But Prost has maintained the lead that he had. He's coming up to the 2 Dallaras now of Andrea De Cesaris and his teammate Alex Caffi with their 4 DFR engines. There is Prost coming up to the first of them. Looking down from the helicopter, the 2 Ferrari-looking cars are in fact the Dallaras. Prost goes straight past the first of them. Now he's got to take Alex Caffi, who is in front. And Prost really has got his dander up in this race. Senna has still got to pass him.
And Prost into the pits. And certainly he had a little bit, he was on the lucky side with the traffic in that he was hitting them on the straights. And Senna really got a little bit held up by Eddie Cheever. Prost through the little chicane, which is there to slow the cars down. Stopping on his mark. That's a very good stop indeed. Prost a little bit slow on letting the clutch out, but better to do it right than to stall the engine. And Senna will have to have a really exceptional pit stop to get in and out ahead of Prost,
who rejoins in second place ahead of Gerhard Berger. Now that is tremendously significant. You can see Berger behind Prost now. There is Ayrton Senna, race leader, who is still held up by the Dallaras that Prost had passed. He passed one of them. So Senna now race leader on lap 22, with Prost having made his tyre stop, coming up to pass De Cesaris, who is notorious.
And there we see Boutsen, 2 large black stripes as he spins those fresh rear tyres back onto the circuit. And 16 and under 17 seconds means that in fact Prost has increased his real lead over Ayrton Senna, because there's no way Senna can decelerate into the pits, spend 7 seconds, and here comes Senna into the pits. Even if they turn it round in under 7 seconds, there's no way he can get out ahead of Prost. Prost will have gained on the road. And here is Alain Prost, Senna going for the pits through that little chicane. Prost will be completing his lap, or coming into the chicane about now. Let's look at the stop. And the stop was slightly slower than Prost, and Prost went past just as they were dropping Senna's car off the jack. So Prost is going to have at least a 6 or 7 second lead.
9.9 seconds Ayrton Senna's stop compared with Alain Prost, a whisker under 8. So with Berger now in the pits, Gerhard Berger in the Ferrari. From third position, there he is leaving after his pit stop. So now Mansell has changed his tyres, Nannini has changed his tyres, so have Prost, Boutsen, Senna and Berger. All the lead drivers are on new Goodyear rubber. The gap between the two of them is not dissimilar to what it was before the tyre stops, with Prost leading now.
Remember, at the moment, Prost will still be pulling away from Senna on 2 counts. The first, that he's got his tyres hot, he's used to this new set, he's had a couple of laps to feel them in. And the other, of course, at Senna, he's got a couple of back markers between himself and Ayrton Senna, which is a bit of a cushion. So we'll get the gap for you as they cross the start-finish line in just a moment. Prost's about to cross it now. And Senna not too far distant in the background, and the gap is 4.6 seconds. So Senna's pit stop a little bit slower. He hasn't lost much, and the stage is now set. This is a sprint to the checkered flag for the 2 McLaren drivers. And for Ayrton Senna, it means absolutely everything. He is desperate to retain his world title. And Senna certainly means business now. New fastest lap for Ayrton Senna on his fresh tyres. And he's closed the gap on Prost. It's under 4 seconds now. And here we are in the cockpit with Ayrton Senna now. And we've got the readout for the speeds. Accelerating up the straight, dropping it down. Up to the gearbox. In the top. Up to nearly 300 kilometres an hour as he kicks it down to 5th. Right down to the gearbox for the slow hairpin. Whoops, knocking the back wheels a little bit. You could hear them just grabbing as he let the clutch out. And this is really like qualifying laps now for Senna. Just adjusting his visor there. And he's pulled a couple of tenths more on Prost on that lap. But this is very much a head-to-head battle now between the 2 McLaren drivers. So, with the lengthening of the view through this, Prost is in view, in fact, for Senna in the distance when they get onto the straights, but it's a little bit fore-lengthened, as it were, by the onboard camera.
3.7 seconds between race leader Prost on the half-distance lap 26 and the man you're riding with, world champion of 1988, Ayrton Senna. Both of them driving McLaren Hondas, and Senna now has got somebody that he is about to catch, getting, unless it's Alain Prost, and I can't believe that 3.7 seconds comes down to that through the on-car camera. But both of them now absolutely at the limit. Their Honda engines made not very far away from here. That really is the fastest lap. 1 minute 43.9 to Ayrton Senna. That could beneficially affect the gap between, from his point of view. So there is Chiva again with Alain Prost coming up.
Yes, so this time Prost's got the traffic, but he does at least have a straight, the start-finish straight ahead of him, and he should have the power to get through, but Senna is definitely closing up. So Prost will get past the arrows, and then the march ahead of him.
3.2 seconds, and it was Derek Warwick. 2.8 seconds now. So Alain Prost Prost is losing great chunks of his lead to Ayrton Senna. On the other hand, Prost has lapped Warwick and the car in front of the Arrows, and I didn't see who it was, but Ayrton Senna's got to get past them. Ayrton Senna, of course, is famous for his ruthless and dramatically capable passing manoeuvres. He'll just dive in where very few other people will dare to tread, and people move over when they see Senna approaching in their mirrors.
Yes, he definitely intimidates back markers, but no, I wish the director had stayed on Senna and the way he's dealing with the traffic, and he's bullied his way past the march there. His fellow Brazilian, Mauricio Gugelmin, of course, it's the normal his life's worth to hold up his fellow countrymen on the way, certainly amongst the Brazilian press.
Now this is tremendously dramatic because Ayrton Senna is making a bid for his World Championship here. He is starting to close on Alain Prost, and the battle is well and truly on. And if Senna gets into the mirrors of Alain Prost, it's going to be a tremendously worrying and intimidating situation for the Frenchman. He had definitely lost motivation, and you can see now how, with Martin Brundle about to be lapped by Prost, Senna is really almost with the leading McLaren Honda. 2.8 seconds is the gap. Martin Brundle is holding Alain Prost up. I'm sure he's not doing it deliberately, but the fact is that unless Prost can get past Martin Brundle very quickly indeed, Ayrton Senna is going to be right with him, and Prost is now past the Brabham jug. So you can see now the gap is visual. Prost is leading, Senna is second, Berger is third, Nannini is fourth, Mansell is fifth, Piquet is up into sixth position, then it's Patrese and Boutsen seventh and eighth.
Well, certainly Brundle will have seen that Prost is the man in front, and he won't help Senna past if he can stay in front of him. Brundle's still fairly bitter about the Formula 3, and sure enough, he doesn't help him pass. But they had a lot of battles together in Formula 3, and Brundle didn't feel that Senna was always particularly fair. But he's bullied his way past, and Prost very much in his sights. Of course, remember, this is a narrow track, it's quite twisty, and the car, McLaren's quite clearly very evenly matched for power. It is not going to be easy for Senna to get past Prost, even given the fact that Senna is prepared to take pretty big, pretty daring shots, and he has the ability and talent to be able to control the car through fairly sort of shut your eyes stuff. But this is a very difficult track to pass on for cars with equal power.
2.4 seconds, lap 29 completed. They're on lap 30, 53 lap race. I have a nasty feeling nevertheless that Alain Prost is starting to be in trouble. As James has said, it's difficult to get past here, but if Senna gets onto the gearbox of Prost, and that is out of the race, Ivan Capelli.
And Gerhard Berger has come into the pits. It looks as if he's in terminal mechanical trouble.
Nannini up into third place. You're looking at the broken Ferrari now of Gerhard Berger, who retires. Gerhard Berger out on lap 35, having consistently held third position. That means Nannini moves up into third position. It means that Mansell is now fourth, Patrese is now fifth, Boutsen is now sixth. In seventh position it is Pirro, and in eighth position it is Alio. And there you saw the remaining Ferrari of Nigel Mansell, and there's a bit of a confrontation. That's Pirro coming together with one of the Dellaras. It's Alex Caffi, I think. Yes, it is. Alex Caffi, certainly Pirro out, Emanuele Pirro out to join Bernd Schneider and Barilla. And Senna takes Nakajima. Now, it's taken Ayrton Senna that long to get past Satoru Nakajima, and Alain Prost is now, on this part of the circuit anyway, out of sight. We are on lap 35. Prost leading, Senna second, Nannini up into third position, Mansell in the Ferrari up into fourth position. Pirro walks away. The gap is now 3.3 seconds between Prost and Senna as...
Bit of a popular corner that for Pirro, because that was the second time we'd seen him nerfing somebody from behind, and of course that time it did in fact put him out of the race. And so still Senna battling away to get on terms with Prost, and really, although there's always been that little gap between them, it's an absolutely head-to-head race, this.
A really enthralling one, as you can see, 3.3 seconds. And very, very much the man of the race for me thus far is Alain Prost. That is Ron Dennis, the head man of the McLaren team. Tim Wright on the left, the technician who was rumoured to be joining Ferrari, but we have not had any confirmation of that. Prost now, who said he was going to attack and has attacked. He took the lead at the first corner. He has held it consistently, apart from his tyre stop when he came in on lap 21, and he lost the lead and regained it on lap 23 when Ayrton Senna went in for his tyre stop. And Prost really has attacked. Fastest lap after fastest lap. The gap now pretty steady at 3 seconds, and it's all going to depend, I think, again on traffic.
Well, it was interesting to me to see then that Senna was bouncing it over the curbs through the chicane at the end of the last lap, and that with a new sort of aggression to his driving, and significantly that particular lap was a new fastest lap for the race by Senna. So it looks to me as if Senna is making now his final charge and his final bid. I think he's screwed himself up. No more rest periods for a breather. I think for Senna now, he has seen that if he's going to win this race, is absolutely 110% flat out, every lap a qualifying lap, all the way to the line. And an accident and too much smoke to see who it is.
No, it's Felipe Alio in the Lola Lamborghini who has gone out of the race, and Alio was in 10th position. Bad luck for the Frenchman, but encouraging that the Lamborghini engine is going so well. Now you're looking at Alessandro Nannini in 3rd position for the 3rd time this year, having already finished there in San Marino and the British Grand Prix. He's chasing that. There is the Lola Lamborghini of Felipe Alio.
Mansell with one very smoky Ferrari, and it may just be oil leaking on from a breather or something like that, but it looked like plenty of it. I don't suppose he can last for very long. But Ayrton Senna has some rather less than 15 laps in which to get past Alain Prost to keep his hopes of the 1989 title alive, because having done that, if he can do it, he then has to win in Adelaide as well.
Yeah, this of course is what Gerhard Berger's car looked like for much of the race in Spain, but and no, it didn't look like that. There's a fire in the back of Nigel Mansell's Ferrari. There is a major oil leak of some description. It may be oil dropping down onto the brake caliper or something like that.
The good news is I think the airflow has blown it out as quickly as it lit. It's obviously oil dropping around the exhaust, because that was very much from the exhaust pipe area, but this is there's much more smoke than there was ever from Berger's car in Spain. His was just simmered. This is positively...
And look at that, Senna now right with Alain Prost on lap 40, and Prost has got somebody in front of him that he's got to lap. This could be Ayrton Senna's opportunity to take the lead, and and the World Championship chance at the same time. Now Prost is past. It was Eddie Cheever, I think that, yes, Eddie Cheever, that they have both lapped. And now, for the first time, we see the two McLarens absolutely together, and you're looking at Alain Prost's car ahead from the camera of Ayrton Senna's McLaren Honda on lap 41 in this 53-lap race. And now it's going to be really enthralling, because Alain Prost can see the McLaren Honda of Senna big in his mirrors.
Yes, and now we have another ingredient, which is probably not such a good one, and believe you me, we have very, very high emotions running in both those cockpits. The drivers, it wouldn't be unreasonable to say that they hate each other. And on that basis, to be racing at those speeds adds a further and rather unnecessary dimension to have heavy emotional feelings of antipathy towards each other, but that is the situation. It also makes the pressure much greater for Prost with his lead. His dislike for Senna makes him much more twitchy and much more inclined, if possible, to make a mistake. It's not a good pressure to have.
And look, Senna's going through. No, Prost holds him off. Well, it's going to be constant attack, because Senna has got everything to gain and nothing to lose. And Prost has got everything to lose if Senna gets past him. If Senna can get past, it'll keep his World Championship hopes alive down to Australia in 2 weeks' time. Down the finishing straight at 192 miles an hour into turn 1. What a fantastic scrap. And just for the record, behind them it's Nannini now in third position still. Mansell in that smoking Ferrari is fourth. Fifth and sixth are the two Williams of Riccardo Patrese and Thierry Boutsen. Seventh and last is Nelson Piquet. In eighth position it is Modena. In ninth position it is Gugelmin. But here is the excitement, and we are right with it. A masterstroke, getting the cameras on the McLarens.
And of course, particularly exciting for Australia when we think about this, because they've got, depending on this, whether they host the deciding race for the World Championship, and if that's what they want to do, then they must be cheering like mad at home for Ayrton Senna. But quite frankly, with the tremendously dramatic race that we're getting here, they're getting their money's worth, even if it doesn't go to Adelaide, because we've had a dead rubber, as it were, in Adelaide twice before, and it seems, to me anyway, to have detracted nothing from the racing and from the entertainment there. So either way, I think we'll have a good time in Adelaide, and we're having a hell of a good time here just watching this race. Senna threatening a little bit, but remember, this is a narrow track. The cars are fairly equally matched on power. This is one of the places, as they go out onto the straight, where Senna would be looking to try and draw alongside under braking. He's being big at Prost in the mirrors, but it's a little bit of a quick flick there for any heroics. And of course, Senna will have the added knowledge that Prost only has to take them both out of the race to win the World Championship. And whether he thinks Prost is going to do it or not, because I think it's highly unlikely, he must always allow for that possibility in his thinking, even if he believes that Prost wouldn't do a thing like that, which I certainly believe. He can't afford to go very close to Prost when he looks for a way past, just in case Prost does something silly like that.
They've just gone underneath. There's a crossover, you will have noticed. We have mentioned it before at Suzuka. They've just gone through there. They're about to complete another lap. That will be the end of their 43rd lap in this 53-lap race. And Prost has pulled away just a little bit from Ayrton Senna at this point.
If I was in Senna's shoes, and I'm not sure, I haven't detected that he might be doing it already, I would maybe start trying to con Prost, and as Mansell, he's surviving, so it's obviously only an oil leak. The question there for Mansell is, whether he's going to have enough oil to last for the race, because they don't work terribly well without oil, these cars. Going back to Senna, Senna's tactics, I would have said now, would be to try and appear to Prost that although he's still trying hard, he can't really do much about it. Try to lull Prost into a sense of false security. Seen Senna do it before. He's got that sort of cunning, and I think that if he could lull him into a sense of false security and then spring a sudden attack with about 5 or 6 laps to go, that would still be enough time, and he might just be able to catch, to relax Prost now and catch him unawares a bit. It'd take a brave man to want to do that. So still lapping at a furious pace, and also not a bad idea. This is a very hard circuit physically. Senna probably needs a 3 or 4 lap rest if he can have it. Take it easy, and big yellow flags waving there. I think it's still the Lola at that point. Been there for a few laps now.
Well, Prost was actually quicker than Senna on that previous lap. It hasn't made much difference because it was only marginally quicker. And these two of the best drivers in the world. Well, it's Nakajima out of his own home Grand Prix. What a pity. In exactly the same place as Philippe Alliot. Nakajima, who was 12th on the grid, last year 6th on the grid, is out of the Japanese Grand Prix. 5 times Japanese champion, not finishing here, but look at this. This is lap 44, and Senna is attacking again. He's back with Prost, he's reduced the gap, it's still behind them. Nannini, Mansell in the smoking Ferrari is still 4th. Over the line, down the turns 1 and 2, this 180-degree joined turn which leads into the S curve. 9 laps to go, what a race it's been.
Yes, and I think Senna's probably decided that he can't afford a breather, and he hasn't got room for, in terms of time left for cunning tactics. That's Nakajima walking back. Must be very disappointed to have got so far in his home Grand Prix, and having quite a good race, albeit an eventful one. And there is Nigel Mansell, and that of course is no surprise, having seen how much smoke was coming out of the back of his car. Big disappointment for him, but today has not been Mansell's day. Today is the day of the McLaren Hondas, who are still locked in combat. Prost with the upper hand at the moment, and it's beginning to look to me as if Senna has only desperation tactics left. Prost, well, they're just a little bit with all that oil around and the high temperatures of the metals around. Ignition can be pretty sudden, so they're wise just to damp it down, as it were.
Patrese and Boutsen have moved up, and it's still, there is the race. Prost and Senna, 1st and 2nd. Nannini in 3rd position. Patrese is 4th. Boutsen is 5th. The last person not to have been lapped, because Piquet is now in the points in 6th position, but has been lapped. We're riding now with Senna, world champion. Lap 46 out of 53. Prost is in his sights. The world championship chance is in his sights. And it's a 53-lap race. This is lap 46. And Prost has got enormous pressure on him. So in a way as Senna, because Senna knows that if he can't get up with Prost and look for his opportunity to get past, he will not repeat his world championship.
So our car, that's Senna's, as we ride with him, right up on the curve, exiting out under the bridge down to the short straight. You see Prost is not hurrying into the corners, and that's absolutely the right thing to do when defending a position, because of course hurrying into the corner you can go wide, but you can't overtake on the way in, and then lining the car up to make sure to get the power on early and right, and that leaves your opponent with very little he can do. Back to Mansell, out of the race, but really we would like to see this epic battle that goes on. And that's as close as Senna has been at any stage at this point on the circuit. As he came before the pits, and there you see what happens in these cars. Their acceleration is so great that the leader will always get the power on first. And you see just how quickly, being maybe a tenth of a second earlier on the power, what a big difference that makes as the cars exit the corner. Prost still defending, and Ayrton Senna is the man now upon whom the onus rests. Has he got something up his sleeve, or will he try? It looks to me as if he has no obvious answer. Will he try something desperate? He's shown himself capable of doing that. Prost is making sure that Senna will have to do something like that, because he is, as I say, going slowly into the corners, getting early on the power, and an anxious McLaren team there, and Senna again closer than ever before.
This is Alain Prost, 150th Grand Prix, so he has had experience of just about every situation, including this one. The situation of being in the lead with the second place man treading on his rear wheels almost, and having to resist that pressure, keep his racing line, not go wide, not leave an opportunity and a door open through which Senna would be like a flash. Now, there are very few cars left on the circuit. There's 14 running now out of the 26 who started. And if Prost comes up to any of them, this is the opportunity that Senna's looking for. And he's going through. Ouch! Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. They meet. This is what we were fearing might happen during the race. And that means to say that Prost has won the World Championship. Alain Prost, world champion of 1989.
Well, and just look at this, because Ayrton Senna, who can get going again, but he's been pushed, that's outside assistance. And I'm afraid to say that that is all over for Ayrton Senna, and it was his own fault because of the slow corner. He wasn't past Prost, and he went into a gap, and Prost had every right to turn into him there. And I'm afraid that was self-inflicted. Senna has got going again. He's back on the track, but he will for sure be disqualified for receiving a push start there.
Well, that is contentious. The rule says that you can be pushed if you are judged to be in a dangerous position. So it could well come down to a steward's decision of some kind, but look at the problems that Senna is going to have with car handling. And now, of course, Alessandro Nannini is very much in the running, and it could be that we're going to see the Benetton Ford winning and a Benetton winning, and Senna is still leading. Senna with this twisted nose cone and very dodgy handling, and it's coming to pieces. He's going to have to come into the pits to have it replaced. He goes off. He's lost downforce, of course, and that dramatically affects adversely the handling of the car. No wings on either side, and we are on lap 48 in this 53-lap Japanese Grand Prix, with Alain Prost walking in. Heaven knows what's going through his mind as Ayrton Senna tried to take it.
Well, I tell you what's going through my mind. What a tragic way to finish such a thrilling race. And it really was tragic that Senna should self-inflict such an injury, because he just asked for Prost to take his line and drive into him. And it was, as we suggested, an act of desperation on Senna's part, and it did look as if he needed that, so in fairness to him, maybe that was his only way. Now, will Senna come in to change that nose, or will he try and stay out? He is still leading the race, remember, but of course he really should be disqualified for his push start, but he goes into the pit, so they're going to try putting a new nose on the car, maybe. He's in the pit road, and here is Nannini, will take over the lead of the race.
Yes, indeed he will, and the question then will be, can Ayrton Senna, with this new nose cone, depending on what the position is, either regain the lead or retain the lead? Well, we're watching now for Nannini. Nannini is in the lead. Alessandro Nannini leads the Japanese Grand Prix as Ayrton Senna leaves the pit lane. And my guess is, and it's very much a guess, that Senna, in the mood that he's in now, on lap 48, will catch and pass lap 49. Can catch and pass Nannini and then win the World Championship if he wins in Australia. Well, this really is a dramatic ending to the Japanese Grand Prix. Alain Prost out, it doesn't affect his chase. There's a replay, now let's look. Senna comes up to try and go through on the inside. Prost moves across, takes them both out.
Yes, well, Senna went for a gap that wasn't there. You could see quite clearly that Prost was already turning into the corner. And Senna put himself in an absolutely impossible situation. But he was lucky because at least he was able to get back into the race with the help of the marshals. And the McLaren team there with former McLaren man Tyler chatting away, but of course he was from the mayor. And here we see again now, you see that Senna is going in tight. He's inside Prost, but not in front. And the point is, at a slow corner like that, there's never any danger. And Prost was always going to turn into him, whether it be it right or wrong, tactically. Because in any other situation, you'd say, well, Senna is pretty much holding the inside, and Prost was putting himself out of the race. But the whole point was, Prost, as long as Senna was out of the race, Prost didn't mind being out of the race. And that was what was different about that situation, as opposed, for example, for the Mansell Senna situation in Portugal. So Senna now pumping adrenaline, 4.6 seconds behind Nannini, who leads. And I'm quite sure with the adrenaline that's flying around Senna, there'll be no difficulty for him to catch Nannini. And I would think with the adrenaline going, he'll probably pass him. And now we see a replay from Senna's car of the accident with Prost. It looks as if it's just coming up. Now, as they go under braking, Senna goes to the inside and bump. But really, what more could you expect Prost to do?
Well, the last time a Benetton won was when Gerhard Berger won in Mexico, before he joined Ferrari. There is the race leader, Nannini. There is Ayrton Senna. There is little doubt that Senna is going to be with Nannini in a few seconds, and there is even less doubt in my mind that he will pass the Italian, who won't make it easy for him, of course, because the highest that Nannini has ever finished in a Grand Prix is third, and he's done that several times. And the chance of finishing first, beating the McLarens, is going to be one which he will fight for. And Senna has got to get past Nannini to keep his World Championship hopes alive. If he goes down to Australia, having won in Japan, and then he won in Australia, he would win the World Championship. It has hardly affected Prost. It hasn't affected Prost's chance. But now Nannini and Senna together on lap 50. There are 3 laps to go at the end of this one, which they're about to finish. 3 laps to go now, and we're about to see Ayrton Senna retake the lead. I think he's got vastly superior power from his V10 Honda engine on its home ground in comparison with the V8 of Nannini's Benetton. Paul.
Well, I was just watching that's the first time we've been able to see the Benetton Ford compared with the Honda in a straight line, and it looked very impressive indeed with the way Nannini was able to accelerate out of the slow corner and still maintain his lead against the McLaren Honda, very much in the way that Prost was doing. It looked similar from that stretch of straight from the chicane before the start-finish line to turn 1. So, as the team have said that Nannini's the new Ford engine they're very pleased with, that certainly seemed to ring true. The new engine looked good then.
Lap 51 out of 53, and yes, I am happy to eat my words at the moment, but if Senna gets much closer, he's going to be through. Nannini is leaving no spaces, no room at all for the McLaren Honda to get past. Ayrton Senna in the second position, which is absolutely no use at all to him. in terms of the World Championship. Now up to Nannini. He's going to try and go through into the left-hander, and this is lap 51, 2 laps to go at the end of this one, each lap of 3, and through. Now, Nannini smokes up, Ayrton Senna leads at the conclusion of lap 51 in this absolutely riveting Japanese Grand Prix with 2 laps to go, notwithstanding the fact that he's gone into Prost, had a new nose cone.
Well, that certainly was a very brave manoeuvre after what had just happened to him a couple of laps ago, but of course he was able to do the same thing to Nannini as he did to Prost, but then Nannini wants to be second. Prost didn't want to be second, had no reason to be second, and so it was a totally different situation, and this is where Senna, I mean, he may have taken the view that there was no other way he could pass Prost, and therefore that would justify what he did to Prost. And here we see it again. This is the same thing, and of course, as I say, Nannini has every reason to be second, which Prost didn't, so the circumstances are totally different. But you see how little room there is there, and how vulnerable he made himself, Senna. But unless he reasoned, but it may be that he reasoned that that was the only chance that he had against Prost.
That was exactly the same place where Senna passed Nannini that he did not pass Alain Prost. Now, I am in no position to make any sort of a judgment about whether there was any case of right or wrong when Prost and Senna came together, but I have no doubt that there will be some furious discussion going on between Alain Prost and the McLaren management personnel. It may even be that the stewards will be taking a part in the deliberations, but now on lap 52, which is the last but one, Senna undoubtedly leads. Nannini is second. Patrese once again is in third position. Boutsen is fourth. Piquet is fifth and lapped, and in sixth position it's Martin Brundle.
Yes, a very interesting situation for McLaren as Senna heads around the last lap after a fantastic race, but of course it's in the normal way. Teams will be protesting each other, but it's rather difficult for a team to protest itself because this is an internal matter for McLaren's, although Ferrari of course have a big interest in this because they'd rather like Prost to arrive to join them as world champion and bringing the number one for the car with him. But having said all that, and as we speak, Alain Prost is in race control talking to Jean-Marie Balestre, the president of FISA, so the politics may have started already because I don't think they're going to go away quickly. But suffice it to say, this has been an absolutely enthralling race. We saw a quite outstanding drive from Alain Prost with all the old spark and everything. We've seen the very best fighting speed come out of Ayrton Senna, and at the end of the day he took the risk maybe with Alain Prost. He's received a push start, and we know that should get disqualification. What should happen and what does happen in Grand Prix racing, recent events have clearly underlined bear no or very little relation to each other. So a marvellous drive by Ayrton Senna, and he comes through to win the race on the road.
And hold on to your hats, Australia, because it could well be that the World Championship is going to be decided at Adelaide in 2 weeks' time. But Ayrton Senna wins in Japan. Is there going to be a stewards inquiry? Alain Prost will have one if he can, but Nannini, just behind Ayrton Senna, in a magnificent finish, takes his highest ever place, second. The two Williams cars of Riccardo Patrese and Thierry Boutsen, third and fourth. Nelson Piquet lapped but fifth. And then, unseen by any of us because of the battle for the lead, Martin Brundle in sixth position.
A sensational Japanese Grand Prix, but there was more to come when a joyful Ayrton Senna, believing he had won, learned that he'd been disqualified. Not for being push-started from a dangerous position, that was legal, but for avoiding the chicane after he got going. So, Alessandro Nannini was declared to be the race winner in Japan, which automatically meant that a bitter and indignant Alain Prost had won his third World Championship.
Very difficult because the stress was absolutely unbelievable this year, and I had my worst year in Formula One, and I learned a lot this year, especially on the human side. To be very honest, you know, I was absolutely sure that I'm going to win the race, and or an accident like this, because I knew that he wanted to win absolutely. And you know, the problem with Ayrton, he can't accept that he can't accept not to win, and he can't accept that somebody resists by overtaking maneuver. And a lot of times, if you remember last year and this year, I opened the door, and if I did not open the door, we would have crashed like this. And I said before the race, if that happened, I don't open the door anymore. You know, and that happened. You know, it's the way he drives is very good. I must say, it's absolutely unbelievable quick. But for me, I mean, it's driving too hard. I mean, you know, it's and if you have two drivers like this in Formula One, then you have accident every race.
But the controversy is far from over. As Nannini and Prost accepted their contentious successes, there came the amazing news that McLaren had appealed against Senna's disqualification, despite the fact that their own man, Alain Prost, who significantly will be driving for Ferrari in 1990, had just become world champion. The announcement was made by McLaren director Crichton Brown.
It is our duty as a team to try to win every race that we can. If there is a possibility for us to do that by challenging perhaps what is a decision made on the regulations at the moment, then it is our duty to do so. But I want you to know also that this is in absolutely no way because we are trying to favour one driver against the other. If Alan gets the championship today, we are very happy for him. If Ayrton gets the championship, whether it's this year or the next year or sometime, we shall be very happy for him. We're trying to clarify the situation, do our best, purely on the basis of winning this race.
With that, the latest news here at Suzuka, as the arguing continues, is that subject to appeal, Nannini did win the Japanese Grand Prix and that Alain Prost is world champion. But the appeal decision could reverse everything. Whatever happens, though, Grand Prix will be in Adelaide for the championship finale, the Australian Grand Prix, in 2 weeks' time. And that will be something to see on Grand Prix.